By popular demand, today, I'll be making a new and improved version of the death cage seen in my previous videos. So, let's get to work. First, I have to come up with a solid design that will stand out from what I've done previously. When I was brainstorming how I wanted to approach this challenge, I had an idea of using only a single laser and bouncing it all over the cage with mirrors, which could be really cool since I never used those. For step 1, I took out 9 cards to use as the body of the cage. And once I had that complete, I took out mirrors. And this is where it gets fun, because I painstakingly aimed them at each other in all kinds of fun angles, so that the light was bouncing all around the cage. Now, it's time for the moment of truth. Wow, yeah, that was pretty disappointing. I thought for sure that was gonna work, but there goes that idea.
Outstanding!
I know I used my black screen to move on to the next segment, but it still kind of bothers me that the mirror bouncing idea didn't work. But it's fine. Since I can't bounce the lasers around like I wanted to, I'll just do it the old-fashioned way and stick the lasers in as many different positions as I can. I'll start with the same 9 carts as the base. I'll take out 10 lasers and aim them around the cage at varying heights to cover many different mob sizes. Also, since this creation's gonna consume a reasonable amount of energy, I stuck a big battery on the back to act as a temporary power supply. Now that all that is settled, this is my bouncing laser cage. Let's go throw it at some nearby mobs and see what this thing's capable of. So, I went down the path to visit my neighbors. It was here that I found out immediately this thing needs some improvements. Not only did I have a hard time keeping the mobs trapped inside the cage, but I wasn't stunning them enough, and that allowed them to break it. So, back to the drawing board. With my initial idea of lasers only being a dud, I decided I was going about this the wrong way. Instead, I should be thinking of actual ways to improve the death cage itself. Then it dawned on me. I'll make it mobile. So, I got to work brainstorming up a design that would both drive and allow for a big enough cage filled with danger. I ended up using carts again, but this time around, I put them long ways instead of straight up and down. And on the inside, I made sure to add a ton of different emitters that would stun lock the enemy mobs in place. Now that I have this death cage on wheels, the only thing left to do is go field test it. I hopped on and immediately saw that the lasers aren't as lined up as before, but that's okay. It adds character, probably. So, I rolled the device up to the mobs next door, and it worked like a charm. Only issue was, I couldn't get the camera to show the action, since this vehicle is pretty long. So yeah, that kinda sucked. Once I'd taken care of all the mobs that were nearby, I set off across Hyrule to go find different mobs to test this thing out on. Almost immediately, I came across the fairy. But then I started getting messed up by it, since it stays in the sky, and yeah, this cage isn't tall enough to catch it. So yeah, I bailed out of there real quick. Next up was an armored bokoblin. And even though I couldn't break its shields, it kept running away. So, I'll call that a win. Also, those alphas never stood a chance. Overall, this device is a pretty decent improvement over the OG Death Cage, except for it being kinda huge and cumbersome. Oh yeah, and I dropped it down a waterfall. Fun! If you enjoyed this video, leave a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Also, leave a comment because I respond to those pretty often. And as always, I'll catch you next time.